Hi Stampers, this is Karen Phillip. I'm a Stampin' Up Demonstrator and I'm pleased to show you how to make all of these cards out of a sheet of white paper to start with for the design. And this is called four squared stamping, I believe. I don't have an extra guide sheet for this one. I don't know what happened. I'll have to print another one. But anyway, one of my ladies wanted the one sheet wonder, and this is a similar way to do it, but just doing the outside edges. So this one sheet of white paper helped me to create all of these cards. You can do them landscape or portrait, and this is just again from that one sheet. So it's a fun way to do cards. You could do Christmas cards this way, you could do birthdays, it's a good way to do bulk cards in simple steps. Alright, so I'm taking a piece of white cardstock, just regular basic white, and the stamp sets I used the Autumn Leaves bundle, or well, I guess it's not a bundle this year, but it has dies and the stamp set, and I used these smaller leaf things, or leaves, to for the decorating. And then I use this one, and this one. And then I also use the layering leaf stamp set, and I use the little grunge in it, and then these sentiments work very nicely for this particular card. Alright, so what you need to do with grid paper, or you can just lay it out or whatever. So you want to try to find the center line, which would be 5.5 by 4 1/4. You don't want to cut this apart yet. So I have a pretty good eye. You could, like I said, you could measure, you could put a dot there, you can line it up with your grid paper, or however whatever works best for you to get the center. My spatial thing this way is pretty good. So, and even if you're off a little, it's okay. So the first thing, you do the largest stamp first, and that would be this big maple leaf. I'm using Lost Lagoon. I wanted to switch up colors a little bit, so I need this out of the way. You need to ink it up. My ink pad is kind of dry from the class. So this is about the center, and you hold it down, make sure you get a good stamp. Then you go left or right, turn it a little bit, go along this axis, axis I guess, and then you go the other side. Kind of matches that one, but that's okay. And then you'll do the top, and then you will do the bottom, and they don't have to be spaced specific. I'm going to move this sheet out so I don't get all over my mat. So then I'm putting a little piece here. I'm going to put a couple kind of down on the bottom. Not necessary, but you can. That didn't stamp too well. Gets a little bit. It's okay if it does some weird stuff like that. So basically you have your X, and you'll see what happens next. So then you set that aside, and you'll do your next color, which I'm using copper clay, and that will be my oak leaf. And I'm just stamping in between. You want to stay on your access line. You can go different directions. I don't know why it's not stamping all the way here. Probably because I'm not inking it up. Okay, then now I'm going on the crossway here. I'm going to put some on the corner a little bit. On this side. You can see somebody down a little bit, that's okay. Okay, so again you have your X and then you have your bordering if you'd like. Next color I'm using Blackberry Bliss just to give it a little oomph. And I'm using a smaller design for the brighter, for the more solid color. And these are 2 leaves, I'm putting that down there. Again, you can go over your other pieces. See how that just kind of brightens it up a little bit? And you'll get 4 cards out of this, so you want to kind of keep your quadrants so you have something on all of them. And this one works good if you just kind of go like that. If you want to put something in the corner. There. Yeah, put one here, one on the other end. Alright, so then the last color I'm going to use is Smoky Slate, and I'm putting the little grunge dots on there. It just kind of, it needed something. I'm a big texture girl, and instead of texturing it, I'm using dots. And these are random. You want to keep white space. So you just put a bunch of those on, and now some of this is going to get cut off because it's a full sheet. There we go. You got to know when to stop. I have a problem with that. My problem is, okay, next we will cut this 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So 4 1/4 on the 11, on the 8 1/2 side. You want to cut that in half basically. So that's 4 1/4, and you cut it in half, and see how you have your images on both sides. You can do this together or one. So your 11-inch side, you cut it 5 1/2. Alright, so now you have 4 pieces that will be your card for your cards. And they're all a little different, but they're all very similar. So the next step is you're getting 4 cards out of this basically. So what I did is I have 4 white card bases, and then I also have 2 in copper clay and 2 in Lost Lagoon. But the layering, I'll just do one for right now. So the layering is, we have 4 1/4, oops, 4 by 5 1/4. Oh my, I shouldn't be doing it on this, but I just want to get it done here. Alright, so this goes on here, like so. And then this piece, because it's 5 1/2 by 4 1/4, you see it's the size of the whole card. So now we have to cut this down so that you have your little border there. So now this gets to be 3 3/4 by 5. Because some of the designs, like if I started it right at 4, I'm cutting off a lot of the design, or I mean 3 3/4, I would be cutting off like most of this one. So you have a couple choices. You can cut it off like that, or you can like wiggle it down. So you'll do 4 by 5 1/4. Let's say I want 5 1/4 here. And then you can see how that looks. And now we can cut it down the opposite side on 3 3/4. I hope that's making sense. Otherwise, well, I'll show you one that'll cut the whole thing off. And then 3 3/4 by 5. You might want to, I'll put those dimensions on my website. So now we would just glue this on here. For one card, you can decide if you want it this way or if you want it this way. And then you'll put your sentiment here. And this is sort of the idea of what you're going to get. So I just did a piece of copper clay. I added some leaves, my sentiment, and put it on each card. I will show you one more time how to cut it if you don't want to cut it down in different pieces. So this one, I'm going to cut off more of this side. Final size is 3 3/4, and you can see how much of it cut off. So all this whole design cut off when you do it that way. Otherwise, I would have just had, if you did 4 by 5 1/4. If you're I don't want to say an expert, but if you know how to cut these things, you'll understand a little better. If you don't, so this is the pieces. If you do it to match your cardstock, otherwise you cut it down each one. I'll do one more. Just hopefully that helps you. So this one's pretty even on each side, and I don't want to cut off all of it. So I'm going to do 4. You see I'm doing 4 on one side. So I'm only cutting a 1/4 inch off, and now I wanted 3 3/4 for the final version. I flipped it over, so now I have a little bit of each design on each side. This one has a lot of white, but I could do 5 1/4. Flip it around, cut this off, but I don't want to cut any more off on that side. So 3 3/4 by 5. Again, each one will be different on how much you cut off. This one I can do 3 3/4 because I just want this a little border by 5. I hope that's not too confusing. And then you will just glue these onto each of your card bases. Let me get this out of the way. Each of your card bases, you'll glue these each onto one of the colors. They're all it doesn't matter which one because they're all the same. And then you have your pieces here. This one is 1 1/8 by 3 3/4, and then you can put it on whichever direction you find is best. Like that one would go well that way. Otherwise, this one you could put it down here, and then your sentiment will go on here. You have some leaves in your kit. I just did a couple random leaves. This one has a white spot. It goes good spot for a leaf. So it's very flexible and kind of fun. And then you can create 4 simple cards out of one piece of white. I get those out again. So like here's one. You can add gems to it if you'd like. Here's some more. This one is a thank you. Again, I went different directions, however the paper warranted it. This one has some gems on it. So they're just all different, and they're fun to make. So I hope I didn't confuse you too badly. So thanks for watching, and have a great day.